Every trial lawyer knows that moment. When you've built what feels like an airtight case, but you're still lying awake wondering, what will the jury actually think? Jury research was once a luxury, reserved for cases that could support a big data study bill. Not anymore. Join trial lawyer and trial scientist Alicia Campbell, empirical legal scholar Nick Schweitzer, and data guru Kevin Doran as they break down the barriers between you and the minds of your jury. This is the Fred Files, produced and powered by LawPods.
Welcome to the Fred Files. We're so happy you're joining us today. We are here finally, even though I called out Seton, 2 podcasts ago, 3 podcasts ago. But he's a busy guy, important dude. He's hard to get a hold of and get on the calendar. But we've been wanting to get Seton here to talk about focus graphics. So I'm loving your hat. Of course, I'm here with Nick Schweitzer, if I can talk today. Well, just Thursday, so I'm on the tail end of the week. And we're here again without Kevin Doran, still insisting upon getting hitched. And I think has done so. I think he's on his honeymoon now, right?
He has. Should be doing honeymoon, although I saw him checking in on some Fred stuff, Said he wouldn't, but of course, he's a pro, so he pops in now and then to help out.
Which is great, because I think they're going to Asia. I think is where they're going for a while. So we're happy for them. And then we have our Fred mics, which I'm loving. So it's awesome. Usually what we do, Seton, now that you're here, is we have you introduce yourself. And we would like you to talk about how you're a triathlete, because we like personal information as well as part of your introduction. So it's all you, Seton. Thanks for coming.
Great. Well, my name's Seton Claggett. A little bit about myself. Grew up in Idaho, mainly, with my 2 brothers, Sean and Tyson. Sean is an attorney, which many of you might know. And my other brother, Tyson, lives out in North Carolina, and he's in the demolition industry. My mom actually recently had home movies transferred digitally, and I have some epic video of us. My dad, we fought all the time as kids, and so my dad came home one day, and he was sick of us beating the shit out of each other. So he brought boxing gloves home. And so my mom has the video of us unloading on each other in the front yard.
Oh my God.
At around 9, 10 years old, just beating the shit out of each other for fun.
Nice.
And we're laughing until someone gets hurt, and then you're mad, and then it's just WWE, MMA, all in one. Like you literally watch the video and you're like, oh my gosh, this is where MMA started, was my front yard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, fun times.
That is fun. And then, of course, you're a triathlete.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. I think that's fascinating.
Well, I say I was a triathlete. I raced for 30 years. I've done hundreds of triathlons. And people are like, how could you do hundreds of triathlons? When you race for 30 years, I do 4 to 8 triathlons a year. It becomes hundreds pretty quick. Yeah, I've done everything from, super small sprint triathlons up to Ironmans. I raced the Ironman World Championship. I kind of got to the pinnacle for myself. My last Ironman I did, I won.
Oh.
I won my age group. Yeah, about that time, I'm like, you know what? I've raced a lot. I've raced a lot. Yeah, so that was my triathlon life. I've done a lot of endurance stuff, 24-hour mountain bike races. I've done Leadville mountain bike.
Did you? Why? It's so high there. There's no oxygen there.
Yeah, I've been in the pain cave a lot.
Have you?
Yeah, I've taken myself deep into the pain cave. One of the biggest rides kind of became famous after I did it. I live in Tucson, and there's 2 mountains here. One is Kitt Peak. It's one of the biggest observatories in the world, and there's tons of telescopes up there. And we ride it sometimes. And then there's Mount Lemmon, which is right behind my house, and it has an observatory on it as well, just one telescope though. But the point is, when you're riding up either one of those mountains, you can look across and see the other mountain and see the telescope if air is clear enough. And so I had this amazing fantasy that I wanted to do that ride in one day, tower to tower. I call it Twin Towers ride.
Huh.
That ride started at, we started at like 4 a.m. at near the base of Mount Lemmon, and we crossed Tucson. And then, of course, if you did this, you had to make sure it was as challenging as possible. So there's a pretty decent climb out of Tucson called Gates Pass. So we went over Gates Pass. One guy started with me, and I picked up 3 other friends that were at the university, and they did the Kit Peak route with me. So we went over Kit Peak. Over Gates Pass, up Kit Peak, back down Kit Peak, and then the 3 that were rode from U of A, they split off, and then me and this other guy went back over Gates Pass, back across Tucson. And I want to also preface this was in the middle of July in Tucson.
Ew.
It was
my
really
God.
hot. And so we got to the base of Mount Lemmon, which Mount Lemmon is 99,157 feet tall. The base is right about 2,300 feet. So we hit that base at about, I think it was like 2 o'clock or so, 2:30 in the afternoon. So it's 110, 108, and it's really humid here in July. I know people think it's a dry heat, but we get the monsoons. And this monsoon, it just hit the top of Mount Lemmon while we were approaching it. The crazy thing about this ride was, here it is, it's super hot. You're just sweating balls all day. And you get to the top, as you're approaching the top of Mount Lemmon, this monsoon had hit, and there was like 4 inches of hail on the side of the road, and it was in the 40s.
Wow.
It was absolutely freezing up there. And so the guy I was with, who was one of the strongest cyclists in town, he literally like lost his mind. And so we got to the ski area, and there's one 2-mile stretch above the ski area that is really steep, and you're already exhausted, right? And so I was waiting for him there, and he comes up, and all I wanted all day, my goal was to get up to the ski area and have a Coke or a Dr. Pepper. Like, that was my reward. So I get to the vending machine, and all that comes out of the vending machine are Sprites.
Aww.
And I was so pissed. He shows up, and I'm like, oh man, I got all these Sprites. Do you want one? And he's like, yeah. And he just starts dumping it on his head, because he was gone. He was like mentally delirious, and he's like dumping it on his head, and he had this shirt wrapped around his head, and he's dumping the Sprite all over himself. And I'm like, well, we got to go. We have 2 miles left. I mean, we got to make this is the whole point of the ride. And he's like, no, I'm out, man. I got to go back down. I'm freezing. I can't make it. So he left me, and I did the last 2 miles alone, and it was, like carnage. This storm just unloaded on the road. There was trees down, there was hail everywhere, there was runoff. I should have been on a mountain bike, and I was on a road bike. Yeah. So then came down and finished the ride. But as far as I know, I'm the only one that's really done that ride.
That's incredible.
209-mile ride.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kit Peak. I spent 20 years up in Phoenix, and Kit Peak is not close to Mount Lemmon. Like, they're not. Yeah, there's 2 peaks, but they're not like right next to another. They're
no. If you just leave from downtown, like the university area, and just do the Kit Peak ride, that's about 105-mile round trip.
Yeah, that's
wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So those are some of the crazy things I've done. My other hobbies, I golf and stuff, but I do woodworking. I do a lot of woodworking. And my new triathlon, I'm now a jet pilot.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I fly jet. And I'm actually leaving this evening, flying out to Dallas to pick up an attorney, to fly to Utah to pick up another attorney, to fly to Vegas to pick up 2 more attorneys, to fly to LA for the Outer Realm Conference.
Oh, yeah. Outer Realm is this weekend. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So who are you picking up in Dallas? Claggett and Seton?
Jay Murray.
Jay Murray. Okay.
Yep. Then Ben Cloward out in Utah.
Got it.
Will Sykes and Matt Granda in Vegas, my brother's partners.
Awesome.
And then we're a full boat over to
LA.
Wow. So tomorrow's a big flying day. So I'm going to reposition into Dallas tonight, and then get some sleep, and tomorrow will be a lot of flying.
Yeah, that will be. How long does it take you to get your pilot's license?
That all depends.
I feel like you got yours fast.
The minimum you need is 40 hours to become a private.
Oh, okay.
But when I did it, I was in like no rush, and I told my instructors, I'm like, no particular rush to do this. So I took my sweet time. I had about probably 80 hours by the time I finished my private.
Wow.
And then my instrument, I knocked that out in about 2 weeks up in Seattle. I was very focused on getting that done, and then got my type rating in the jet in this past May.
That's crazy. That's awesome. I think probably all that leads into, so then how did you get into focus graphics?
Well, I had a previous company that was in the triathlon space, and we sold triathlon equipment all over the planet. We'd sold about $200 million worth of equipment around the world.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of stuff. We were the biggest UPS shipper in Tucson. Anyways, after that venture, I had nothing to do. And Sean was asking me, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because you can't get a job when you run a company like,
Yeah.
it's almost impossible. I tried to apply to jobs afterwards. It was useless. Like I couldn't get a job because I'd never worked for anybody, and no one wants to hire you because they're like, if I hire this guy, he's going to take my job.
Right.
I think that's why. Maybe I just suck. It's probably I suck. But anyways, so Sean asked what I was going to do, and so Sean, he has a place in Newport, and he every summer he'd rent a place there, and it was what time he had now owns a house there, but at the time he was renting. So we're just sitting out there. He's like, "Oh man, I got a great idea for a company you can start." I'm like, "What's that?" He's like, "We can do graphics. Graphics, it'll be great." I'm like, "I don't know anything about that." He's like, "It doesn't matter. You know business. You can do this." I'm like, "Okay, well, tell me the competitive landscape." And so he rattles off 3 or 4 people in the space. And I'm like, "Wow, well, that seems like a crowded space for such a niche market, but we can give it a try." Now, I want to preface this with I actually am like an entrepreneurial fellow at the University of Arizona. I teach entrepreneurship. I lecture on entrepreneurship to the College of Engineering. Like it's kind of in my wheelhouse. And I threw all of my knowledge to the wind and just went off this literally 10-minute conversation with Sean. And we started the company without my research was Sean telling me that. That was my industry research. I'm like, well, Sean knows I don't know anything. So we started the company and it was really slow. I mean, this was the end of 2018 was when we started. So, I mean, Sean gave us the first project a case he was working on. And then, we were getting, he was, referring people to us and it was slow.
And there was COVID.
And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then I took the time, by the way, to do the research. We started the company. I'm like, Sean, do you realize there's like 300 competitors in this space? He's like, I know, but there's only 3 or 4 that really count. So I'm like, okay. So Sean did a ton of teaching over COVID, really built the reputation of someone that gives his time. I think a lot of attorneys really appreciated that because he wasn't charging. He was just spewing out his brain, right? And I think a lot of attorneys really appreciated that. And so he's really built a tribe, around him of really great attorneys. And so now it's really starting to flywheel as far as, we work with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of firms around the country. So we're very fortunate.
That's very awesome. He and John both spoke on TLU, I remember during COVID, like just a ton. Just a ton.
A ton. Yeah, they were on there 3 to 5 days a week.
They were, yeah. I mean, either hosting or giving their own talks just because it was a new idea and everybody was stuck in their houses.
Yeah. And that whole transition to that online platform, it was Sean's idea because at the time they were doing in person, go to a law firm thing. And, Sean came up with the idea for them to take it online and teach for free. And that was Sean's mandate. Hey, I'll do this, but it has to be for free. And so that's what Sean did.
Yeah, because I think COVID probably was good for that, really, because it made it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, it was like if there was one thing that came out of COVID that like loosened up a lot of this idea that you always have to be, because I appreciate now CLEs that I can just do remotely. I mean, yeah, some of them I like going to because you get to meet with people, you see them face to face. Yeah. But I also like the convenience of not having to go. And now that there's a class I can take online and I can get my credits and it's all good, it's a much better option. I mean, because if you want to go, you still can. It's just that before, judges in Missouri wanted to see you in their courtroom. Now everybody's a little bit more like, cool, let's do it by Zoom. Won't be that bad. We can all be in our soft pants. It'll be fine.
It's definitely saved everybody a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, it's pluses and minuses. There's minuses of being stuck in your house all day. Anytime there's anything locally going on for me, I jump at it because I'm like, I have to be around other humans that are not in front of the TV screen. Like anytime I get to see you, it's like, I don't get to hug you. But when I see you in person, I do.
Yeah. It's true.
And Alicia gives the best hug, so it's great.
Oh, thank you. I try. Okay, so now I wanted to do this because, we've obviously had lots of studies that include your graphics. Right. And you're the people that we always recommend. Why don't you talk a little bit about your process? So people who are interested or need animations or are thinking about animations, maybe what they should consider, what kind of cases are worth it, what process they go through with you, just kind of like soup to nuts. How does it work to get involved with Focus Graphics? Because I always think that's a really good use of attorney time and money, frankly, in most cases. Not all, but in most.
It's a great question. We have a class. I'll call it a CLE class, but I don't know. I don't know how to give credit for this, but we call it our visual master class, and we give this class to firms all over the country. And so basically, the biggest gap I see within firms is there's a head honcho or head honchess that runs these firms. The people in charge of the firm know that these visuals need to be made, and that process breaks down there, down the food chain of the other attorneys, the paralegals, the other staff. It's not in their system. This is a huge challenge for firms. Initially, if I had a firm, I would set the parameter of, hey, if, because really we're dealing with insurance companies, right? What's the policy limit on this case? Number one, assuming we can't open the policy, that kind of thing. But what's the policy limit on this case? And then create an internal threshold for that. If there's a $25,000 policy, clearly you're not doing anything. Right? I mean, you're just going to do what you can to get that 25 grand. But let's say your internal policy is 50 grand or 100 grand. So you're like, hey, there's a $100,000 policy limit. We know we can most likely get that entire policy based on the damages. We now have a process where that if yes, then we need to get visuals. And the other thing that people get, there's a big misconception about how much visuals cost. We do projects all the time that are hundreds of dollars. I mean, every day, hundreds of dollars. I didn't say thousands, I said hundreds of dollars. And so you can get a colorization of an MRI or something, get a couple of them and be out of the door for less than $1,000, and they are extremely impactful. And so we deal with some firms. This is their process. We know this because they're sending us 3 to 5 cases a week.
Holy cow.
And they're spending about $1,000, or less. $500 to $1,000, because this is part of their process. They've built this into their process. We know these are impactful. We want to get to that policy limit as fast as possible with least amount of work. Well, this is how you do that. Like, this is not rocket science. One firm in particular, Randy Sorrells, he's like, hey, I'll give you guys a chance. Literally, I think the first case he gave us, they sent us the imaging, we reviewed it, and the radiologist was wrong. And so we let him know that the radiologist was wrong. And after that, he's like, these are our folks. You guys know what you're doing. There's so many errors in medical records. It's unbelievable. I mean, we find stuff every day. I have a really good buddy who's like one of the chief radiologists here in Tucson. And one time I went and I sat with him and watched him do his job. It was fascinating. And I asked, and I don't remember the numbers, but I asked him, like, how many radiology imaging, reviews do you do a day? And I can't remember the number, right? But it was a lot. And I walked out of there, I'm like, oh my gosh. I don't remember the exact math, but it was something like, if he's 99.999% right, he's still wrong 500 times a year.
Yeah.
Based on the volume he does. And I'm like, oh my, it was staggering. I'm like, nobody's 99.99% right. I mean, that's really amazing. Like, you just do this math, and we love math, right? Big data, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, like, statistically, then you know why there's errors, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and this guy is amazing at his job, and he cares, and he does a thorough job, but nobody's perfect. Even if you're 99.999% perfect, you're still wrong.
What are the types of error? Like, for example, like, what is it that you were able to pick up or see that they didn't?
Oh, they missed. I don't remember the exact reason for this one, but they were missing a disc bulge. One of the other cases we worked on really early, by the way, this is early on. Brian Blankenship, who works now, he had his own firm, but now he works with Sean. When Brian had his own firm, he brought me a case. And by the way, at the time, I didn't even know what I was doing. And we got the imaging, and the imaging study called to review the cervical spine. Well, when they took the imaging, it went C1 down into the thoracic area. Well, the request was look at the cervical area. So the radiologist called out the issues with the cervical spine, but didn't bother mentioning the issues with the thoracic spine. And I don't know anything, but I'm looking at this. I'm like, I don't know. Those thoracic discs seem bad to me. And so our partner, Sam Colorusso, he's one of the partners in Focus Graphics. He's a chiropractor and really great at imaging. I reached out to him. I'm like, can you double check this for me? Because I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. But so sure enough, the radiologists, they did their job. They called out the cervical issues, but didn't bother noting the thoracic issues that were still present in the imaging.
Wow, what a catch.
I mean, we've salvaged a lot of cases, like found an incredible golden nuggets.
Wow.
In medical records and stuff like that. I mean, incredible. On the non-medical side, we're working with Jay Vaughn in Kentucky, and he had a case, and it was a truck that they just repaved this road, and the front tire went off the side of the road, and they made it too steep. If your tire dropped off, you're supposed to be able to get back up, but they made it too steep. It was like impossible. And when he finally did, he kind of overcorrected a little, went across the road and killed this woman.
Oh, God.
It was very sad, a super sad case, especially because she was taking her 2 kids to school, and they didn't die. So they saw their mother die. And then the next car on the scene was her son, who was driving to high school. Anyway, it's a horrible case. Well, he gave us all the information, gave us everything they had from the expert, and we started building out the 3D models and analyzing it. And I spent so much off-cycle time thinking about this case. I came back to Jay and I'm like, what you think happened is not what happened. This is what happened. And it was just different, right? And so we put him on a different path for that case, which was super cool. So we find stuff all the time.
And this is all just in the normal course of reviewing all of the stuff that gets sent to you.
Yeah. It's a wonderful service.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing, the stuff we find.
Yeah, that's crazy. So in the medical context, what are the most normal or the most common types of like animations or imaging that you do?
In the medical context, I mean, we do a lot of spines.
A lot of spines?
Yeah, spine imaging, for sure.
Some of these questions I'm going to ask, and I know the answer to, Seton, but we're on a podcast, so let's do this. So a lot of them you do like surgery animations.
Yes.
What kind of information do you need to be able to do an animation like that?
So we're going to need the op report. The operative report is what we'll need. We get the request sometimes, hey, my client had a cervical fusion. Can you make an animation? And we're like, we need the op report. Well, why do you need the op report? Because we need to know what they did. I didn't know this before we started the company. It still is amazing to me how many variants of the same surgery there are. Like take a C5-6 anterior fusion. I bet you we've done 50 variants of that surgery. Every surgery is different. It's unbelievable to me. I thought there'd be some we'd have some ability to like
standardize,
economy of scale.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, this is going to be great. We're going to have all these assets and then we can reuse them. Jeez, I can't count how many times I've been burned on an attorney calls. I got this C5-6 fusion. I'm like, sweet. Yeah, we've done that before. Send me the op report. Hey guys, review this op report. No, I haven't done this one before. I mean, it happens all the time. It happens every day. It's incredible to me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it is. It's like these doctors are just dealing with a bunch of artists.
Wow.
They're all trained to do the same thing, but they all have their own tricks up their sleeve of how they're going to approach this procedure.
I see. So when you say you hand that off to people, what do you mean?
So we have a medical team and a forensic team. That's how our company's kind of broken up. So the medical team, we will hand off. We have a couple people, one person in particular, she's amazing at her job. They'll review the records. So our kind of process is, hey, Seton, we have a case. All right, tell me about the case, whatever. And then based on that conversation, we're going to request records that most likely we're going to need. So that could be radiology imaging, radiology reports, operative reports, crash reports, the list goes on. Imaging, pictures of the client, and then we'll gather all this information, and then we have a medical review process where we'll take all this information and disseminate all of it into what is here and what is missing. There is a severe lack of knowledge at the majority of firms of the understanding of medicine and medical records. We see it all over the country. They request they know they have to get the records from the hospitals, but they don't really know, I don't think, what they're looking at. And so they'll get 10 1,000 pages from the hospital, and they're like, sweet, we got them. Now, there are some firms that are really good. They know what they're looking for, and they have everything organized. Most of them are like, okay, Focus Graphics, here's our 10,000 pages that you've asked for. You want the medical records, here they are, this is what we have. And then we start going through them, and then, that's not all of them. There's 5,000 pages that are missing. And so it's a game of whack-a-mole. So we get all the information, we disseminate all of it, and we go back to the client. We're like, okay, based on this information, here is your list of exhibits we think you're going to need. And it could be 1, it could be 30. And once again, we don't know all the information on the case. We don't know any case value. We're just like, hey, here's some things you could do. And from there, it's up to them to decide how much money they want to spend. I'm not here to spend their money. I'm here to help them represent their client and make the best decision to return the most value for their client. That's our job.
Do you prioritize when there's many things that you think could be done? Do you say, this thing is, you need this, and then, here are some niceties?
Yeah, pretty much. We kind of organize it in bunches of, because I just saw a quote we just sent out yesterday. I had to have 40 exhibits in it. We're working on this case out in Vegas right now, that 3-wheel vehicle case.
Oh, yeah.
Alicia.
Yeah.
I think we did 60 exhibits for that case. I've never seen a human injured so badly that didn't die. It's just a myriad of injuries. Anyways, so we go back to the client. The client says, okay, I want to do A, B, C, and D. We send them a contract. They sign the contract, and we're off to the races. The most difficult part of what we do is document collection.
What do you mean by that?
Because an attorney will reach out. Once again, usually it's the head honcho or honchess, and they're like, hey, we want to do this. I want to do this visual. Right, great. We're going to need these records. And then it breaks apart because they don't have all the records.
I see.
So then we get some records, and then they're not all the records. And then we get some of the records, and it's still not all the records. And then we get some of the records and not all the records. Actually, it's surprising. I've had some conversations at some of these conferences. There's these document collection companies that go and get your documents. And I'm like, I talked to one of these companies. I'm like, don't you get medical documents? Like, isn't that that's what you guys do, right? Yeah, that's what we do. I'm like, I don't understand. There's all these companies that offer this service, but I rarely deal with a law firm that has all the documents. I don't understand. And then they told me something that was amazing. They said, well, the way this process works is they only get the documents that the client knows about.
Okay.
Well, if you told me, hey, Seton, go get all your medical records, I'd be like, I don't even know where to get them.
Yeah.
So their onus is on the plaintiff to go get their medical records. And I'm like, no wonder why this is broken.
Yeah.
You're dealing with a guy like me who's like, I don't care. I went to the doctor. I don't remember. Like, I have no idea what the doctor's name was. Now you want me to go get records from them?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's crazy. So are there times where you interact with the expert report? Like where you're tasked with doing what originally was done in the medical records, but an expert who's saying they should have done something else, or they should have been on the lookout for this particular cyst, or they missed this and it was obvious?
Yeah, we see this a lot on med mal cases and product defect cases. So we'll do like right way, wrong way. And med mal cases in particular they're fun. They're way more fun and more challenging. Challenging because you have a medical report that's not right. It's full of lies. So that's not what happened. It's full of inaccuracies, I guess I should say. And so they'll get it to us, but we know like this is what it says in here is not what happened because this is the person died.
Right.
We'll get med mal cases. You'll read the medical records and nowhere in it does it say they killed the person.
That is definitely true.
Yeah, and the surgery was successful. End of report. Like, wait, the person died? I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy. So
Yeah.
when your medical team goes through it and they identify what they need, do you have a separate team that builds it, or does the medical team also build it?
Correct. On the medical side, the medical team will review. We have one person in particular. We have 2 people, really. And we're building that team out even more now because we just have so many records. But they review, and then once the contract is signed, then we have a whole team of artists. Yeah, everybody's in-house, extremely talented artists. I don't know if you know this or not, but there's only like 4 schools in North America where you can become a medical illustrator.
Really?
Yeah, it's like 4 or 5 schools. And to become a medical illustrator, it's a master's degree. Your first year is alongside the medical school students doing gross anatomy, and then art, and then the second year is all artwork. And so it's a fascinating group of individuals. They understand the science and the medicine, but then they can do the art, which most people can't equally use both sides of the brain, and these people can, which is amazing to me. Super talented group. And in each of these schools, they put out 5 to 10 grads a year.
5 to 10 a year.
Mm-hmm. Very small
What do
classes.
you do besides doing animations? What do you do with that degree?
Well, that's what I thought. Well, there's a conference. It's called the Association of Medical Illustrators, and they have a conference. And when I started the company, I went to this conference really early on because I didn't understand. Well, it's amazing as a layperson, all the medical illustrations we see in our daily lives that it never dawned on me that a person made them. And so, like, now that I'm telling you this, you will see it all the time. Like, you watch something on TV for a drug, and they'll show drug delivery, or, or
Holy
a
crap.
Band-Aid, or
Oh my God.
you go to the doctor's office, there's medical illustrations all over the place.
Yeah.
I never thought about it, right? Because it wasn't my world. And now I'm in it and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's medical illustrations
Everywhere.
everywhere, and people had to make them.
Yeah, I was just thinking of like Grey's Anatomy, and it's like, isn't that kind of done? Like the book's
Yeah,
done, right? Who needs, but you're
right.
like, now that you're talking about it, holy crap.
Well, in the med legal space that we're in is a small sliver of the medical illustration world. I mean, like, probably less than like 8%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, think of all the medical device companies, the drug companies. There's a huge world out there for these folks to work in those
Wow.
environments. Yeah.
Does that mean that was it trouble to assemble a team then, given that there's all these other things that they're doing?
No, I mean, you definitely find there's certain people that enjoy this kind of work. The biggest thing we dealt with when we started a company, it was me when I started the company, and I had some freelancers doing work for me, and we got to the point they just weren't giving me the service I needed. So I had to hire a team. And so when I hired my creative director, he told me, he's like, hey, Seton, the problem with the med legal industry? I'm like, what's that? He's like, burnout. These attorneys just grind these artists to death, and they burn out. And I'm like, well, cool. Well, we need to build a company where that won't happen. And so one of our core values is protect the hive. And so we do a really good job of making sure our artists are not overworked, because I need them around for the long haul. And I mean, to date, we've never had an artist quit.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. We protect them. Some of our competitors, the attorneys, deal directly with the artist. You want to burn an artist out quick, have that interaction.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. We have visual strategists that interact with the attorneys, and then our artists are separated. Sometimes we'll bring the artists in to calls and stuff. Rarely do we do that, because we need them to focus on actually producing the work. And, so we keep our artists on, we monitor their hours. The systems we've built internally to manage the company are really great. A lot of metrics, something that most artists aren't used to, but it's something we do to make sure that we know when we need to hire people. We know if someone's getting pushed up to the upper limit of their work schedule. It's something I'm really proud of. The culture we've built in our company is like nothing I've seen. I have a business consultant that works with us, and we do anonymous surveys in our company. And he works with all kinds of companies and all kinds of industries. And I mean, he's told me over and over, and I know this because this is not my first rodeo. He's like, I've never seen metrics like this coming out of a company internally, cultural, and willingness, for people that are happy in a place to work. So protect the hive is one of our core values for sure.
Well, yeah, because I can't think of two professions that are more different than a lawyer and an artist.
No,
Especially with lawyer work hours. You know what I mean? Like, I know
yeah.
that because I'm a lawyer, but I also have clients that are lawyers. So I know, I have a good sense, but I can't imagine being someone who wants to draw and create and like make something who's like, yeah, this is great to be pushed. I mean, because that's what lawyers are really good at: pushing, not letting go, trying to be precise, demanding preciseness. I can't imagine an artist enjoying that or really being able to understand that very well.
Yeah, no, it's a challenge, and I mean, I took Brandon, my creative director, when he started, and he told me that I listened acutely to what he said because I build great companies. That's what I do, and I build great cultures in those companies. That's what I do. And so I listened to him very intently when he said that to make sure that we built a system that would do our best to protect our artists and our team. And so now we do a lot of rush projects, but we share those rush fees with our artists. They're
That's
on the
good.
take.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
good.
That's
Hmm.
really great, Seton. That's really
Yeah.
great.
We have an artist that just started with us. In the first 3 weeks he was with us, he made 10% of his annual income in rush fee bonuses.
Oh,
Good
wow.
Lord.
And he's like, I love this place.
Yeah.
My job is to take care of my team. If I take care of my team, they're going to take care of the attorneys, and then I eat last, right? I'll be taken care of. But you think the law world's crazy. One of our other partners in the company, Lucas, he's one of Sean's best friends. Lucas is in the entertainment industry, and when we started, his team would do some of the work for us. It was kind of the birthplace of Focus Graphics because Sean would have Lucas's team do animations and stuff, one or two of them. But anyways, now we do work for them. And so like we just finished a big project for Disney. So we've done work for Disney, Marvel, Apple TV. We've done a Lexus commercial.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's kind of nice. Those projects are way higher stress than any attorney project. Surprisingly, I don't know how Lucas works in that environment. It's crazy, but it gives our team, our forensic team, a chance to work on things. Because we're always dealing with not good things.
Right. Right.
People get hurt and or die. That's what
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
For the
That's the
most part,
business. Yep.
in general, that's what we're dealing with, right? And so to give them a project where, hey, guess what? We get to make a fake video game for a movie or a TV show, they're stoked.
Yeah, it's better than a car crash. Terrible
Yeah.
semi
Yeah.
crashing in and
Yeah.
killing a family. So when the forensic stuff comes in, when those type of cases come in, they go to your forensic team. So we know about medical illustrators. What is it to be like a forensic illustrator? What kind of background do those people have?
So on the medical side, there's medical illustrators, medical animators. That's that team. And then on the forensic side, it's all forensic animators. Kind of the same process. It's the same document collection. More often than not, I mean, there's almost all the time there's going to be some medical piece of what we're doing. Sometimes damages aren't disputed, so you don't do that. It's just, but so same thing. We'll review, and then we brainstorm and come up with an idea of how we're going to present this. We deal with some attorneys. Ed Ciamboli is one that comes to mind. Ed is awesome to work with because he's very creative, and he'll be like, "Dude, I got this idea," and you're like, he's like, "Can you do it?" I'm like, "Of course we can, Ed. This is going to be awesome." We had a case with him once. He's like, "Hey, this case, it might go to trial, but we're going to mediation first, and I want shock and awe." I'm like, "All right, so you want like sound effects and music and blah blah blah." He's like, "Yeah, I want all of it." And I'm like, "All right, here we go. Let's do it." He's really fun to work with. It's fun to work with attorneys who have like just really kind of out of the box ideas that we got to work on. We're working on a case right now. A little girl, a very sad case, died at a daycare, and the defense has a well-known engineering firm working on it with all kinds of mathematical models showing how there's no way this kid died on this high chair like what really happened. And so the attorney wants we're making an actual physical body of the child, like exact replica of the child. So they can take the body into the courtroom and show it on this high chair and show how it really happened.
Holy crap. So you don't just do like,
So that's, yeah.
I think of this as like a image animation type game, but that's not what all this is, Seton. You need to talk
No,
more
we
about this.
do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do physical models as well. We do a lot of 3D printing of spines. We are actually the first company, and Sean was the first law firm to use a 3D printed spine in trial. The Roybal case several
The
years ago.
Roybal, yeah.
Yeah. So their client, he was hit by a stripper bus in Vegas. I like to say stripper bus. It was a stripper SUV, but it's more fun to say a bus. But so the client, they were out riding their bikes, doing a hot wing challenge or something.
Yeah.
And it was him, his brother, and his wife. And anyways, he got hit by this guy who drives a Suburban for the strip club and goes to the hotels and picks people up and takes them to the strip club. Well, he ends up hitting this guy and busts him up really bad. And he subsequently has to have a whole bunch of water-falling fusions. I mean, like one led to another, led to another. It was horrible. But earlier in his life, he was shot in the face by a shotgun. And so he still has buckshot in his head. And so they couldn't do an MRI of him. And so they could do x-rays, but not an MRI. So we had to build a spine to match his spine. And then the hardware to put they contemplated putting the real hardware into his spine, but it was going to cost us $250,000 to acquire the hardware. There was so much hardware in his spine. And so we opted to 3D print the hardware into his spine. So we modeled out all the hardware and printed it into his spine. So they had the spine. I mean, if you go to Jordan Logan's office at my brother's firm, he proudly has that spine in his office.
Wow.
It was great watching it in trial too, because they're holding it. The defense is holding the spine. Like it is, everybody's touching the spine. 3D printing technology has just gone unhinged. Like it's crazy what you can print now. Yeah, I just was at a demonstration 2 weeks ago up in Phoenix, and they had a banana sitting there on the counter. And I'm like, it's the weirdest thing. Why would they leave this banana sitting on the counter with all these other objects printed? The banana looked like a banana. It had a sticker on it like a banana. It had a couple bruises like a banana. It felt exactly like a banana, except for it was not a banana.
That's insane.
It was a 3D printed banana. Yeah.
So is there a project you've not done that you can't do?
No. Well, I shouldn't say that. We've had to turn away a couple projects recently where the timelines are just unreal. Like, I mean, you get these like, hey, so our trial starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
And like, well, have fun.
Yes.
You know, yeah.
No, we do get those.
So, I mean, assuming there's time, no.
So people shouldn't think of focus graphics as only limit, because I've thought of you as, well, because what I see, obviously are a lot of animations, things dealing with imaging, probably because I'm dealing in a world of those things being needed for trial and studying them, right? But I had no idea that you guys could make a baby. Like, I think I've limited all of your capabilities to just what I've seen. So I think it's really important that everybody knows that, like, because yeah, thinking outside the box and being creative, I think is a really good thing for lawyers to do in front of the jury and everything else. I mean, they want to know how things happen, and the more real you can make that so that they can get a sense of what it is that you're arguing, I think's really important. So that's amazing. When does that case go to trial? And will it be on CVN? I want to see the baby.
Yeah, I don't know. It's coming up next year, early next year.
Wow. What a great thing. What a great thing, Seton.
Yeah, we had another case. We didn't end up doing it, but I mean, because the problem with these when you do realistic, I mean, like if you saw it sitting there, you would think it was real, right? Because once again, our partner's in the Hollywood industry, right? So it's real. And so we were going to do a bust of a woman they were doing a science experiment in high school gone wrong, and this was a high school girl, and it exploded on her and just torched her. And so we were going to do a full bust of her, what she looked like right after she got torched. The attorney ended up not doing it. It would have been awesome. We were looking forward to doing it because it would have been super cool.
Wow. Is it a welding class?
No, it was a chemistry class.
Wow. Well, that's really amazing, Seton. I had no idea. When you say that's because so when I think of your partner as being in the entertainment industry, I do think of it more like you guys do work for Hollywood. I'm just going to call it Hollywood. But actually, they also, does he help in terms of doing the more realistic?
Yeah. So whenever we need help that's, something new like this, we just reach out to him. He's so connected in that industry. I mean, like this job we did for Disney obviously came from him, right? Like Focus Graphics isn't doing a job for Disney, but we're doing it because of him. And by the way, this TV show is called High Potential.
I watch that.
You do?
Yes.
Well, the new episode, the episode we did is coming out pretty soon in the next couple of weeks. And it's crazy, the timelines, because we just finished the project 2 weeks ago and they're filming probably right now. And then I thought they filmed these like a year ago, but they filmed, when they release those things, they just filmed it like 2 weeks ago, which is surprising to me.
Huh.
Which is like the opposite of Stranger Things, which has taken years.
Yeah, a little opposite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. So what did you do for that show? How would we know?
I'll tell you, the premise of the show is a kid dies and he's a gamer.
Okay.
and they have this hunch that the person who killed him was another gamer. And so we had to build the entire game, and
Okay.
it's like Zelda-ish.
Okay.
The game is called Battle Dynasty.
Okay.
And so we made all the gameplay
Oh,
of
wow.
this game.
Wow.
Do you create video that then is just kind of played and it's simulated that someone's playing, or do you actually create a
When you watch
real?
TV shows or movies and there's stuff on a screen, think of all the things, right? Whether they're playing a video game or acting like they're working on a computer, it's all fake, right? And the video games are all like we recently did a NHL hockey game. To license that NHL, the real NHL hockey game for your show is like probably $500,000. And so they have us make a fake hockey game so it looks like they're playing the game. They're just acting like they're
Yeah.
playing it. Same thing, you'll see people with their iPhones. It's not really an iPhone. It may be but what you see on the screen is not real. It's fake.
That makes you such a unique, well-rounded animation company, really.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, because there are companies out there that just do like medical animations or medical highlighting on scans, and that's all they do. But to be able to do all of this is just really fascinating and really amazing, Seton.
Well, I mean, it's funny because there's all this real world experience. My background, I'm an engineer by education. I have a bachelor's and a master's in hydrology. And so, for example, we've done a couple projects that were solely because of my degree. They needed their big contaminant transport animations, factories that contaminated a town, everybody got cancer and just horrible things like that. I don't know if there's anybody else in the world you could talk to that has an animation company that has a hydrology degree that you have an intellectual conversation about vinyl chloride being transported through the vadosome. Like it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
so we'll get projects like that, but it's other things. I mean, our team is really smart. Like we did an animation. I think this happened in, I want to say Alaska. So I don't remember where it was, but it was a boating. It was a tugboat. And it was all this stuff we had to learn about rigging on a tugboat. And ultimately the rigging failed. And this guy, I think he got his legs chopped off by the rope or something. I don't remember exactly. But, all of a sudden you become an expert in rope rigging on a boat. All these things. That's what does make this super fun to do, is that you learn things. You're like, oh my gosh, I didn't. Do you know in your car, do you know that there's an explosive mechanism in your seatbelt?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
You knew that?
pre-tensioner. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So when you get in a crash, you know how your seatbelt locks?
Yeah.
That's a mechanical lock, but there's an explosive mechanism down where you buckle your seatbelt that literally there's a charge, an explosion, and it sucks the buckle part back into the seat simultaneously when you're in a crash. I had no idea that was in there.
I had no idea.
Now you know. It's all these
Yeah.
things you learn. I've learned a lot about lockout tagout procedures.
Ah, yeah.
All these things that, man, and the interesting thing is, I mean, the phone rings and you have no idea what's going to be on that other side. You'll go from a massive brain injury case, and 5 minutes later, you're talking about like a seatbelt or a lockout tagout issue of it's just something, or hydrology or something. It's something completely unrelated to what you were just talking about. And your brain has to switch and be like, all right, well, let's talk about this.
Yes.
It's fun.
That is fun.
Hey, I've started to see people talking about, they've been talking about this for a long time, but using VR, to kind of show people things. Is that something that you've thought about or done, or?
No, we haven't. We are completely capable of doing it. We haven't had the request yet. The problem is, I love the idea, but I mean, we just did a case recently where the courtroom didn't have a television.
Yeah.
We'll have internal discussions like, well, should we do VR? I'm like, these attorneys don't even know how to use PowerPoint. How are they going to be using VR headsets in the room? Like, it's cool. I mean, there's endless possibilities of what we can do, 100%. And we can 100% deliver on them. Then there's the reality of actually implementing them in the courtroom, which is a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, half the time I can't get good Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
Wow. That's really fascinating, Seton. So if someone wants to contact you, what's the best way to do it?
Call me or email me.
And what I also hear you saying is they should not assume that you're out of their price point.
No, that's a horrible mistake. because of the breadth of what we do, I mean, we deal with both sides of the coin, right? Like we have attorneys where we'll quote them $1,000 for something and they're like, oh, that's too expensive. And I'm like, okay. And then on this other side, you'll quote an attorney $50,000 and they're like, oh, thank goodness you saved me money. I don't know. And it's everything in between.
Yeah, for sure.
So, when it comes to charging customers, I mean, we charge what we charge to make sure that my team can have a sustainable wage and take care of their families. I'm not here price gouging. I mean, we're here to charge a fair price for the work we do and the experience we bring, which is a lot of experience at this point. And especially, with Sean involved, our company is 100% positioned in a completely different place than any of our competitors. Because for me, like, I feel like Sean's reputation's kind of on the line. A lot of people work with us a ton that have no idea Sean's involved. I mean, even though he's on the website, but they don't know that. But those that do, it's important for them to know that. And the other thing I did want to bring up, our company's called Focus Graphics, by the way, because we do focus group our work. It's a service we offer. In an ideal situation, let's say you have a kind of a complex case and you're like, we meet and we're like, hey, we have this great idea. We both agree, me and us and the attorney, like this is what we're going to do. And we have time. We then run it through. We'll get a neutral statement from the attorney and we'll pre-focus group it in front of real people. And they'll get feedback like, hey, here's the case. Here's kind of the lay of the land. What would you want to see to help describe this? We'll get that feedback. Then we'll come up with the final plan. We do the work product and then we'll focus group it on the back end. And any feedback that comes back from the moderator, it's on our dime to fix.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So let's say we do this whole animation and we're like, we nailed it. And then the moderator, they do another focus group and the moderator's like, yeah, so they need purple dancing cows on the side of the road. That's what's going to need to be done. And we're like, didn't see that, but it's no charge. We're going to fix that. That's another service that we offer that nobody offers.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately, more often than not, there's not enough time to do these great things, but in some cases there are.
Yeah.
So that is why Focus Graphics actually has the word focus in it, because of the focus group aspect of what we do.
That's really cool. Even I didn't know that. I didn't know you guys did that.
Yep. So we partner, we have another company called Paramount Focus Group, and we'll piggyback on with their focus groups. We'll snag, our focus groups are just an hour. And so we'll piggyback onto them. Sometimes we'll get attorneys who they're like, I want to focus group my entire case. And I'm like, I just hand them off to the Paramount and they'll run with it. But if it's just the visual piece, we'll piggyback on, and we don't make any money on that. We charge $1,500 and pretty much nobody's making money on that. It's just a great service we offer because it's cool, I guess.
How much extra lead time do you need if you want to do that?
You need about 4 weeks to even schedule in the focus group. Typically, ideally, we have about that much time. And then the big one is the lead in on the first one. And the second one, as we're producing, we can already schedule the next one because we know we're going to be doing it. And the feedbacks are real time. We get the reports and the videos of the focus group, the next day. And so then we can make decisions on what final changes that need to be made.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Man, there's all these things, Alicia, that you didn't realize we did.
No, it's so true. And I'm so glad you came on the podcast to tell everyone because they need to know. Because, I mean, I've seen tons of your animations and a lot of the stuff that you do with the spine work and highlighting that part or brain lesions, things like that. It's always great. So you're always, for us, we're like, you need to call Focus Graphics. But I had no idea just how in-depth you are, which, I think is really important because people do need to start earlier on their cases, right?
Mm-hmm. That visual masterclass that we do, we go into, we just did one for a firm out in Pennsylvania last week. They had 35 people on the call, their firm, because this attorney wanted his team to know, everybody to learn this process, start early. You're not going to break the bank with $500, right, to do a colorization or whatever. We just outlined, this is when you need to start. This is what we're going to need. This is how long things take. This is we talk about return on investment because you are investing in the case and you should get a return on that. And we talk about, how much it's going to cost. We give real world examples of people that have used our work to make strategic decisions, whether it was, the judge saw this and it was amazing and the case was worth 200 and walked out of the courtroom with $1 million, or you did this for me, and I thought this case was one thing, but now that I'm actually seeing it, I realize it's a giant pile of crap, and I need to settle this case as soon as possible.
That's really great, Seton. Do you have anything else that you want to share that you think will help?
I think we've covered a lot. One of our other core values, by the way, is we hope good attorneys do great things. There's a lot of attorneys that are in this for the money, and you need to make money, but you also need to be giving back to your communities and other notable efforts. So it's really fun to work with those attorneys, for sure. You see them doing things in their community, like really good things in their community. And it's great being around like someone like Sean and his wife, Lou, who really lead by example. They give a lot back, and it's kind of the same level I kind of hold most attorneys to. Like, this is what should be going on, because there's more to life than just money, right? So
definitely
taking care of your employees, taking care of your communities is real important.
Totally agree. That's well said.
Well, that's it, I guess, for today. Thank you, Seton, and good to see you also, Alicia. We'll be back in a couple weeks with another podcast episode. I think if we do these in order, we'll be talking about AI next, so that'll be fun. And that's about it for today on the Fred Files.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Fred Files. If you found value in today's discussion, please subscribe and share this episode with your colleagues. To explore how Fred can transform your case preparation, visit us at focuswithfred.com. Produced and powered by LawPods.